Hello everyone, I'm Sadia Shaukat and I'm working as Associate Professor, University of Education, Lahore. And my collaborator, Dr. Anthony William Pell, he is independent consultant in education, retired from Leicester University. And we have published this paper in International Journal of Islam in Asia, and on the request of the editor, I'm recording the presentation of my published article. Well, the title of my article is Religious Tolerance of Madrasa Students According to Their Religious Affiliation and Empirical Investigation. So first of all, the tolerance of diversity is basic element for the success of a society, and Pakistani state actors have founded social intolerance in the country since after the 9/11. And the Pakistani state has demonstrated prejudice quite often, and its prejudice has trickled down, and the state is violently divided based on the religious denomination. And this affects a society where the space for free communication and dialogue is steadily decreasing. And Pakistan is a country that faces the most terrorism with 60,000 people killed in radical attacks after the 9/11. And the one of the incident what's happened in the churches in the Gujarat district attacked the Christians on their Christmas, and that shows the sympathy were accused of being deviant. And many among us cannot endure a difference on the judgment and have no tolerance for the diverging views. And the recent execution of a university student, Mishal Khan, and who was actually killed on the name of the blasphemy on the religious belief. With recent Pakistan have a negative perception outside highly conservative religious section of a society, and proportion of a madrasa are considered to be run by banned organizations linked to terrorism, and government sources attribute problems of extremism and militancy 100% of the madrasa, and however others suggest there is a more reflection of the context in which the madrasa operate rather than a purpose. So the rationale of a society is tolerance, and Pakistani society is a reflection of the sectarian affiliation of the individual. And Islamic belief in Pakistan tend to promote a rigid, restrictive, patriarchal behavior. Male and female perception of tolerance it might differ, and tolerance perception may differ across the different religious sect, and maturity has shown to affect attitude. So these are the hypotheses. There are neither significantly high nor low level of religious tolerance displayed overall madrasa student, and there are significant gender differences in the level of the religious tolerance displayed, and there are significant age differences in the madrasa student displaying high level of religious tolerance, and there are significant differences in the religious affiliation displaying high level of religious tolerance. And the fifth one, there are significant age differences for the male and the female within the religious group displaying high level of the religious tolerance. And we approached 350 respondents, including 130 male and 220 females from the eight madrasa. And four were the male madrasa, and there were four madrasas for the female. And then we categorize three age groups into junior and the intermediate and the senior category. For the junior, 12 to 14 year, and the intermediate category 14 to 16 years age group, and the senior 16 to 20. And we took actually the students from the different religious sects, Deobandi, Ahl-i Hadith, and Barelvi, and the Shi'a. We designed the tolerance attitude scale with the 57 items, and there are some items in front of you. Then these items were actually based on Leica type scale 1 to 5 response rate, and we used the factor analysis principal component with oblique rotation technique. So gender differences in religious tolerance item scale. So the mean and standard deviation is in front of you. More items, and so the factor structures for the female and male differed sufficiently for separately defined tolerance scale to be set up from the strongest gender specific factor. This is consistent with the common perception of patriarchal Pakistani society, and this is thus quite appropriate to judge male and female perception of social interaction as rising from the different premises. The table two is about the reliability and the factor loading, mean and standard deviation, and religious tolerance for the female. So the female associate gender tolerance as being comfortable while sitting with being friendly, while talking with the non-Muslim and reading an other than Islamic source is a mark of tolerance, and it is acknowledgement that non-Muslim can also show generosity. Attention is drawn to the new low mean score, and after reversing the value on the item 18 and the 19, the overall mean score per item on the 5 item tolerance scale is 2.20, and mean response between disagree and undecided female tend to have a low tolerance of the non-believers. And reliability for the male on religious tolerance score. Male also associate religious tolerance as being comfortable when sitting with and being friendly with the non-Muslims, and the non-Muslims should have the same right as the Muslims in Pakistan, and the tolerance is offered from the position of a strong Islamic geopoliticism. Unlike the score for the female, the male score are not usually low. Overall, mean a score per item on the male 5 item tolerance scale is 3, and mean response is close to undecided category. So the male might not be intolerant of the non-believers as the females. So this table is about the age, the classification of the 3 age group, and that indicate no significant effect for the male in terms of the age group. Well, table 5 is about the religious tolerance among the religious sect. And this says the Shia mean just reaches at the neutral mark of 3, and other 3 sects have negative score with the Deobandi mean particularly. And table 6 is again for the tolerance scores for the male, and this indicates Shia scores are again the most positive for the male, and relative ranking of other sects now differ from that of female. And religious tolerance for the females in terms of the different variables, age, sex. So this model actually analysis of the variance actually contributes to the breakdown of the following variables. For female, there are significant age, sex, two-way interaction, and cell means show that Deobandi females, regardless of age, have very low tolerance level. Ahl-i Hadith female of all ages have neutral level, and Barelvi and Shi'a females have increasingly score with majority, and there is no age sect interaction for male or show the sect tolerance profile of the table 6. Well, cluster analysis we also used to just determine the qualitative point of view of the respondents, and we segregated into 2 categories, liberals and the conservative. So in case of the division of the conservative or the liberals, so this shows the Shias in contrast are 84.5%, and conservative make up 74.3% of the Deobandis. So it means Deobandis are more fall into conservative category and the Shia into liberal category. And when age group is breakdown variable as age, as a consequence, maturity improves the proportion of liberals increasing significantly. However, this doesn't apply to Deobandi. 70.1% conservative at the age of 12 to 14 years, and 72.2 for the 16 to the 20 age group. So for the first hypothesis, male mean score has a 95% chance of lying in the average of 2.86 to 2 to 3.18. So male tolerance rating is not significantly different to the neutral rating of the three. So this hypothesis is rejected for the female of this sample. Well, hypothesis two was about the gender differences in the level of religious tolerance. So, in that case, the factors of religious tolerance are gender dependent, and the tolerance level are significantly lower for the female, but neutral for the male. And third hypothesis is about the religious tolerance among the students, and this reflect the female tolerance levels are very low for the two younger groups, but rise significantly for the older more mature group, although remaining the below that's neutral. And hypothesis 4 was about the religious affiliation, and that actually reflects Shia and Barelvi male have significantly positive tolerance level. Deobandi male are neutral, but Ahl-i Hadith male are significantly negative. Deobandi female have a highly significant low tolerance level. Barelvi females also have a significantly low tolerance, and Shia and Ahl Hadith female levels are not significantly different to the neutral. And then age interacts with sect to such a degree that all the open the age group shows significantly low tolerance. For Shia and Barelvi females, tolerance improves with age, so this hypothesis is rejected for the male. So the Deobandis are heavily conservative, while the Shias are overwhelmingly liberal. I mean, through the analysis of the cluster analysis technique, and Shia are responding to demonstrated the Deobandi influence on the culture of Pakistan into the aggressive attack and the Shia experiences from the Sunnis from time to time. As a minority in Pakistan, Shias are more aware of the dangers of the intolerance and the value of harmony, and Shia are possibly presenting a broader perception of Islam. Well, discussion about the liberal, the history and the tradition of the sect that distinguish it from the other funds into this students' learning material and the teacher discourse. And secondly, the classroom environment of the rote learning observation have shown some teacher allow follow-up questioning, and in theory would welcome exposure to modern curriculum technique. And in the second case, the student would address and reflect on a wider society that's not narrowly Islamic and would show understanding and reflect upon the demands of a random way of life. So, gender effect overall before clustering, the female shows significantly less tolerance. After clustering it, it's seen that extreme low tolerance characteristic Deobandis females who have highly likely to be conservative. Female in other sects, they don't show these extreme views. And Hadith females are highly likely to be liberal. It's notable that Ahl Hadith male are very likely to be conservative. And Shia and Barelvi sect shown no gender effect in the relative proportion of the liberal to the conservative. And if we talk about the conclusion. The tolerance of the other has shown a significant variation amongst the madrasa of the four sects. Barelvi Shia appear relatively moderate, and Deobandi Ahl-i Hadith have negative extreme element which cannot be denied, and Deobandi have been associated with pivotal development in the politics of Pakistan and its immediate region. Ahl-i Hadith are currently associated with the disturbances affected India. And researching sect influence on tolerance, attitude, and consequently the potential of a peaceful and harmonious society, male students generally show a positive tolerance of the other Islamic sect, but the aggressive element in the Ahl Hadith should be of a particular concern. And female students generally respond according to the norm of a patriarchal society where the women are expected to know their place, and the impact of family sect is difficult to resist. Female tolerance score thus tend to be lower than the male. So this research points to the need for a separate research study of more depth into the madrasa of both Deobandi and Ahl Hadith sect before plans for future madrasa curriculum and change are drawn up. It would be a mistake to assume that all types of madrasa will respond positively to an opening up of the curriculum and the acceptance of a more tolerant views of other. So, dear audience, thank you so much. This is the end of my presentation. And if you have any question, any queries, so you can reach me at sadia.shaukat@ue.edu.pk. Thank you. Thank you very much.